everyone. My name is Kylie Stackis, and I'm the program director at Trees Upstate. In answer to Mary Lou's question, I actually studied sustainability science here at Furman. I graduated in 2014, and while I was a student here, I was a sustainability fellow at the Shy Center, where they have their sustainability programs. And I was the tree fellow. So I actually got the campus certified as an arboretum. And planned several Arbor Day events, one of which was a tree planting, which at the time was Trees Greenville, which we're so thankful to Mary Lou and Katie for making that possible. So yeah. So but yeah, we're thrilled to be here today. And yeah, it's all thanks Mary Lou for setting this up and inviting us to be a speaker today. But today we're going to talk a little bit about tree ID. And so tree identification is one of my favorite things to teach because it's something I just kind of get to geek out on. And so we'll do a really short presentation. I'll tell you a little bit about Trees Upstate. We'll jump into some basic questions I ask whenever I walk up to a tree. And then we're going to actually go outside and take a walk. So we'll walk around. We'll probably stay somewhat close by just because we won't be able to walk too far in 45 minutes. But you know, if you have a question along the way, just kind of raise your hand and we'll try to take a look at that tree. I'm not going to claim to know everything, but I'm going to do my best. All right. So Trees Upstate, we changed from Trees Greenville to Trees Upstate 3 years ago in 2019. And so rather than just serve Greenville County, we decided that, you know, there's a lot of need, not just here, but throughout these 5 counties in the upstate where we're working together to meet these air quality standards. And, you know, really, we're just kind of a cohesive unit here in the upstate. So now we serve Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, and Pickens counties. So we're growing quite a lot now. We're founded in 2005 by Katie Jones, and our mission is to plant, promote, and protect trees. And so we plant trees at parks, schools, and neighborhoods, usually with volunteers, but sometimes with students as well. And we have planted and given away 30,000 trees since we were founded. So we actually just hit that number at a tree giveaway that we did at Furman last month. So we are super thankful to have that partner in Furman, and that project was funded by the BMW Charity Pro-Am, trying to meet their sustainability goals. So 30,000, that's a really big number for us, and we're super excited about it. Yeah.
What kind of trees do you give away?
Yeah, so our tree giveaways are mostly native species. We've given away over 15 different species. And if you need a free tree for your yard, they're really targeted at people planting trees at their home. And so our website is going to be treesupstate.org/free trees. And that's where you can find the sign up for free trees. We'd love for you to come and pick up a free tree at one of our events. So we plant trees. We promote trees by doing things like this, teaching people why trees are important, doing a lot of education on proper tree planting and proper tree care. We find that even professional landscapers are not installing or caring for trees correctly. And so a tree that should live for 100 years, it's only living for maybe 10 or 20 years because they're planting it too deep, or they're leaving on the burlap straps around the trunk, or they're not pruning away girdling roots. They're volcano mulching the tree, like you see in this picture. Yeah. Right? And so, yeah, when we're talking about protecting trees, that's a lot of what we're doing as well. So here's some fun pictures of trees we've planted over the years. You can see how much they're growing. Here's a section of the Swamp Rabbit Trail we planted. Wow. Yeah. And this is a tree students planted at Grove Elementary School, I think. Yeah. And so let's jump into tree ID, what we're all here for. So when I start tree ID, I walk up to a tree and I ask 4 questions. I included 5 questions today just because we're kind of looking at colors today. So I thought, you know, we'll check out a few other things when we're walking up to the tree. So question 1, right? These are really simple questions. And if you're using a dichotomous key, these are kind of some questions that you should see, or similar questions to really help you get into a general area of what you're looking at. So is the tree a conifer or a broadleaf? What's a conifer?
Like a pine tree, evergreen.
So yeah, that's an interesting point. So a pine tree is definitely an example of a conifer. When we say conifer, we don't mean evergreen. We mean a cone-bearing tree. All right, what is an example of an evergreen tree that's not a conifer?
Cypress.
Evergreen tree, but not a conifer.
Live oak.
Live oak. Yes, great example. Anybody else?
Holly.
Holly, yes. And then there's one other obvious one I'm thinking of. They're all over this campus. Very southern tree, has southern in the name. Magnolia. Yep, there we go, right? Those are all evergreen species, but they're not conifers. It's not a cone-bearing tree. All right, it's a flowering tree. So when we say conifer, we mean cone-bearing tree. A conifer could have needles like a pine tree, or it could have, does anybody know what the other option is? We call it scales. So think about an eastern red cedar. Can you imagine, right? It's not quite a needle. We call it a scale. If we see a cedar today, I'll point it out to you guys. The other option is broadleaf. What's an example of a broadleaf tree?
Maple.
Maple, yeah, excellent. We're grasping that one pretty quickly. Typically, when we say broadleaf, we're meaning flowering tree. All right, question 2. Is it deciduous or evergreen? So we talked about examples of trees that are evergreen, but broadleaf. What about examples of trees that are deciduous, conifers?
Bald cypress.
Bald cypress,
Elm cypress.
Dawn redwood.
Oh.
Yeah, Dawn redwood. Larch. Yeah. So examples of those as well. All right, question 3. Is the leaf simple or compound? Raise your hand if you're familiar with this concept. Awesome, about half the room. So yeah, whenever you're doing plant identification and you take a look at a leaf or a plant, you're trying to find out what is coming out of one bud. So on this picture, you can see there's some arrows pointing to what they call the auxiliary bud, right? And then you have 2 different leaf shapes coming out of those auxiliary buds. One is a simple leaf and one is a compound leaf. It has multiple leaflets coming out of one bud. So on the right-hand side, we would say that that's one leaf, but it has 5 leaflets. That makes sense to everyone? So we're looking at the bud on the twig to find out if we have a simple leaf or a compound leaf. Now with a compound leaf, you can actually have different arrangements of the leaflets. So it could be what we call pinnately compound or palmately compound. If it's pinnately compound, it'll look just like this picture. It's arranged in the form of a pin or a line. It's linear. Everything is coming off of that line. If it's palmately compound, it's like the palm of our hand. It's going to be radial. It's all coming off of one point. So an example of that would be a buckeye. If anybody's familiar with buckeye. All right, question 4. So we really want to think about, is the leaf simple or compound before we get to the arrangement of the leaves? Because we don't want to know about the arrangement of the leaflets if we're looking at a compound leaf. We want to know about the arrangement of the leaves on the twig. All right, so question 3 before question 4. So the leaf arrangement on the twig, is it alternate or opposite? So you can see the basic picture here, right? Now, if we have leaves that are opposite of each other on the twig, we have a special acronym that we remember what species fall into that category. Does anybody know our acronym? No, okay. So you say mad buck. Everybody say it with me. Mad buck. So there's only 4 genuses of trees in the eastern US that have opposite leaves. M is for maple. Excellent, maple. A is for ash. Yes. D is for dogwood, and buck is for buckeye. Yep. So maple, ash, dogwood, buckeye. So our first question, is our tree a conifer or a broadleaf tree? Our second question, is our tree evergreen or deciduous? Our third question, is it a simple leaf or a compound leaf? Our fourth question, is the leaf arrangement on the twig alternating or opposite? And once we've asked those 4 questions, right, and then we can determine also if it's a madbuck tree, then we can kind of move on to this question 5, which is a new question I'm adding for today.
The one that's the madbuck, that the alternate or the opposite?
Opposite. Madbuck is opposite.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Could you put the microphone a little closer to your mouth, please?
Sorry. Oh, wow. Okay. So question 5, what can we observe on the tree? So buds, seeds, flowers, bark, fall colors, we can be looking at all of these things. So here's some examples how buds can look differently. So even in the winter, right, we can walk up, and beech trees are an obvious one for me that is easy to identify based on the bud. Seeds, right? We all know what a sweet gum ball looks like. Yes. Nobody likes them. There it is right there. Seeds and spiny burr on the bottom right. If you didn't know it was called a sweet gum, now you do. So seeds are definitely a great way to be able to identify trees as well when they're on the tree, but of course, those are seasonal. Bark can be really helpful. What is the tree on the bottom right? That's an easy one to identify the bark. Anybody? Yeah, sycamore. What about the tree on the bottom left? Beech. Yeah, American beech. My little trick for remembering that one is that the bark is smooth, like the sands on a beach. That helps, yeah. And then color, right? We are thinking about fall color today. So that's what we're gonna go outside and take a look at. So that is the end of my presentation. I think this thing is set up for the room. So I'll talk louder when we go outside. All right, you guys ready? Yeah, last time we had a big group too. You can do first come, first serve too. You can show up first come, first serve.